Good morning, you muffin munching muggles. Yes, indeed. It's time to wake your up. It's story time. Welcome to Fiction and Reality, where we explore the tropes, philosophical mechanisms, devices, and elements of both the real fantastical world to make you, yes, you become the devil's gifted writer that you know you are and that you know you could always be. Just like you, I myself am on a journey, both to reach the apices of literary mastery and to understand this crazy world we're living in. And if there is one thing I can promise you, it's that we will get there together. And that this world is crazy, full of crazy people. We're all crazy. So come along with me, running through clouds of farting unicorns, meso-mumped leprechauns, and sink into the bottomless pocket of human nature. But that's enough about my journey. You're to learn about greed and how to properly implement it in your storytelling. Well then, do I have a gift for you ancient love knockers. Wait, hold on young Padawans, stop and do not pass go. Before we cut into these dirty rind of barnacles, we must first define greed. What is greed? Well, to me, it's quite simple. If you take things away for no comparable reason other than the satisfaction of one's own selfish desire, by the right people will defend it. And it is greed. You've seen this in various examples through culture, media, and simply throughout your everyday life, whether that be through the grubby-handed stockbroker with no other pursuit but for desire and wealth, such as in perhaps the Wolf of Wall Street, call of conquest and continuity of power as seen in Snowpiercer, and perhaps the most weak mantra, because they had no choice. And if someone didn't understand a single word that I said, here's my Krabby Patty secret formula. There must be some internal conflict that moves one either against or with their better judgment to seek out a token no matter the cost. And what does that mean for your character? You must have introspection. The reason why they seek to siphon and most importantly are tied emotionally to that golden nugget that they're chasing, and a feeling of lacking that they must resolve. Something stolen from them, and they have to get it back. Haven't you all felt like some type of wave? Someone stole something from you. You know, it's like hitting something. This is off topic, but I remember a kid in my kindergarten class stole one of my Megazords, my Power Ranger Megazords. I'll never forget that. It's not any repressed memory stuff or anything deep like that, but I just anyway, there are 3 lakes that lead to greed, and at any moment notice their links can be shattered or waters muddied by conflict or revelation. They are as such: greed due to sheer desire because they want to, greed to achieve power because they can, greed because of no other choice because they have to. Here's a writing exercise. Take your character through some internal conflict. Most frequently, the mechanism of conflict giving way to greed concerns, forcing your character to maybe call into question their own code of morality in order to retrieve something that has been stolen from them. Here are some questions to help guide you in this convoluted web of greed. The golden questions that you want your characters to ask, or rather you want to ask in respect to your characters. What was stolen from them? What are they lacking? What is driving them forward? How much are they willing to sacrifice to retrieve what they lost? And how much of themselves are they willing to lose in order to get it back? If you find a reason for greed, you're already halfway there. Now I know you're rubbing your grubby paws for more, but we must talk about how greed drives plot progression. If you want to frame your plot, there's no better muse than reality. Of course, that and other novelty words. So first, we've established that your character must have something, a desire that calls them to maybe test their sense of morale. That manifests from 3 roots: desire, power, or lack of choice. Now, listen very closely, as if your life depends on it. If you don't listen to anything else I say. And if you haven't been listening, I don't know what else you've been doing. So put that pipe down. Put the magic lettuce back on the shelf. Understand this. Black and white is wrong and right. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. It's the gray, it's the murky waters, and sparing. I want to emphasize sparing of the reader's own internalization of events that really makes your story super engaging. It's the sparing of the reader's own internalization of events that makes your story most engaging. If you want to utilize greed or simply just take your writing to the next level, give your character consequences. Punish them. Make them pay dearly for their brash decisions, right? And you'll see your writing improve just from that standpoint exponentially. This is just a prime ick of mine. You guys have icks, right? We're going to talk about icks. This is the ickiest of icks that I have, right? Write this down. Get your pen, your paper, right? Take it out of your drawer, and I don't care. People are not good and evil. Yes, I said it. People are not good and evil. They're driven by virtuous desire of their own spectrum of ethics or schemata of what is right and wrong. And sometimes those spectrums clash. And what we know as conflict. And it is the one who comes out on top, who decides what is right, what is wrong. The one who has the most power decides what is history and what is fiction. That being said, not all greed is of negative consequence or result of malignant desire, nor may it lead to negative. For example, there are some themes that you may find some fun dilly-dallying in. And you may think the call to freedom is completely righteous and justified. However, to attain that freedom, especially in times of strife, you must steal someone else's. And if the passion for freedom becomes so charged that you're willing to do anything, even to the point of taking one's life to attain it, then a form of greed if your actions, you believe, are justified. In the Hunger Games, Katniss, who was a marker for rebellion, was willing to sacrifice herself and others through rebellion to resist against the Capitol's tyranny. Lives were lost on both sides of the rebellion and Capitol, every fledgling desire snuffed out with the ring of a bullet. But the minute expose of greed was necessary to attain that freedom. In World War II, the aggressive expansionist policies pursued by Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler and Imperial Japan under Emperor Hirohito are often cited as examples of territorial greed. Hitler's annexation of Austria, an occupation of Czechoslovakia, an invasion of Poland, along with Japan's conquest in China, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific were driven by desires for territorial expansion. Access to resources and establishment of hegemony in their respective regions. Though cliche, depending on your framework, stories surrounding the concept of resources, utility, and economics can be remarkably manipulated in some unique manner, attuned to your style to make the utilization of greed yours. And that is the important, right? Making the story your own, having that sense of uniqueness about it, your own style. And my goal is to help guide you in a way that will help you take advantage of these sort of broad elements that you see played out countless times in media and culture, novels, books, and whatever. Make it your own. Let's talk about the impoverished, right? Smothered in muck and filth, the impoverished, usually in the content of fantasy, some form or fashion seeking to elevate up the socioeconomic ladder by any means necessary and is driven to uproot fate for hope of a better life. For example, Casbreaker, cunning and ruthless young mastermind known as the Dirty Hands of Ketterdam, a bustling city of merchants, thieves, and gangs. Born into poverty at a young age, an orphan, he grew up in the slums of Beryl, the most impoverished district of Ketterdam. Smothered in filth, he learned early on to survive by any means necessary, even if that meant theft, deception, violence, whatever it took to climb that ladder to gain power and influence in the criminal underworld. He went on this relentless pursuit of wealth, power, and revenge. Honestly, could you blame them? Who wants to eat crumbs every single day of their life? Or those delicious, protein bars? Now I want to turn to the aristocrat, right? Those who will use any means necessary to maintain that power. Yes, the kings and queens of new and old, an undying line of monarchs and emperors willing to do any and everything to keep every token in its compartment. It's often that these tensions between these classes become so charged that it then leads to revolution. Even dating back from the times of ancient Mesopotamia, Romans, Britons, yes, good old America. Yes, good old America. Greed has always been the spark to light the fuse of revolt and to strip from the tyrants what they desire most. Power. Yes, power. Shall we talk about dictators? You know, the Vlads, the Castros, and the Kim Jong-uns of the world. Yes. You know, the nice people who make sure all their citizens are fed and have housing and shelter, and definitely don't push them out of windows or starve them. All right, but out of all seriousness, this is one of the most toxic fuels for greed. We'll use Kim Jong-un, for example. I hope he doesn't hear this. Yes, the man who feeds his uncle to starving dogs for charges of corruption, and even his own half-brother Kim Jong-nam, who unfortunately met his untimely fate due to a toxic nerve agent. And we can talk about the Vlad, the big V, yes, the big V. Men who would throw the world into turmoil, eviscerate the lives of thousands, including his people and people on the other side, for the mere fear of having to incur risk of having one mote of power stripped from him. All right, that's enough of that crap. Many paths your character can take, so draw them out. Don't let me tell you what to do. It is your story. It's always your story. It's your story. It's your story, not mine, right? My goal is to help you construct some sort of blueprint to maintain order and structure. With that, we are nearing our resolution, right? But save your tears. Save your tears. The resolution of greed. How does it end? Well, generally speaking, I would say in 3 possible ways. 1, the mouth that feeds. Absolute victory. Greedy desires are fulfilled and they have overtaken their obstacles. Your character 1, woohoo, right? Do not go to jail. 2, absolute defeat. Character snuffed out in pursuit of greater power or desires. Spank like a baby's bottom. Forced or willing to relinquish desire. And a return to normalcy. That's number 3. Really? A return to normalcy? Don't do that. Don't do that. Right? That's like saying, I'm traveling all this way to break in your house, kick down your doors, right? Rob your family for their Lucky Charms or something, right? Holding you at gunpoint. And then saying, I don't want Lucky Charms anymore, and walking out of the door. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? You don't want to rob. You want to build up all this hype just for your climax to just go boom, right? Right. But once again, it's your story, not mine. Right? So if you want to set your book on fire, go ahead. I'll watch it burn. Not anything else, understand this. Greed is not unidimensional. Ferret out its squares like you're sewing some unruly Rubik's Cube and you will surely be on your way. And I hope you will look a bit closer to home when drawing inspiration, namely from the world around you. I mean, what better a pot of gold to dig around and rummage around in than the world itself? Before closing, I have a few words of advice. I encourage you, in order to get the most streamlined efficacy out of any element that you're delving into, you reflect on your own personal bouts of greed. You do some own do your own personal introspection and your experiences with it, right? You pay very, very close attention to, right? And you can help sort of incorporate that into some of your writing. Your own personal experiences, there's nothing like that, right? You're trying to make your characters, your world feel as real as possible. Mirror the world you're living in. All right, it's time for me to grovel. All right, if you already haven't hit that subscriber button, go ahead and do it. Hit the like button too. If you don't, they won't feed me. They won't feed me anymore. There's a lot more to come with this channel. Some videos are geared to my own personal reflection of the world and opinions. And of course, abundancy will be writing, right, as I'm on my own journey to writing a book. With that, remember, if ever you're lost in a forestry of words, you strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world. And there your mind will run free.